It is no surprise that the Fantastic Frontier community has been very hyped for the upcoming update, and every time that a new teaser or dev post drops, the hype only grows. But alongside all the new areas that are coming in those two new worlds that were confirmed back in 2022, the devs have made it clear over the years that we can expect changes to the current map. So far, the only real new thing that is 100% confirmed to be added to the frontier is the new Posties NPC in Templetown, and presumably in other places around the map. However, as we know, all those teasers we got in almost 5 years showcase only a small percentage of everything that is coming in this huge update. And thus, I do believe that they focus more on showing stuff from the new worlds, since those contain the vast majority of what's to come. But there might be some interesting changes to the frontier map we know right now that haven't really been shown or talked about. My goal in this video is to show some places around the current map of Fantastic Frontier that might get some sort of change in the update, whether that is an expansion or a revamp. FF's map surely became smaller as all this time passed without it suffering any changes. I'm sure a lot of you already know it by heart, but it still holds some secrets that will hopefully get an answer in this upcoming update. Before I start, remember that everything I mentioned here are just theories, so don't take my word for granted. It's possible that all those places I'll talk about will still look the same after the update, although I'm pretty sure that at least 2 or 3 of my predictions will end up being correct. Also, the entries aren't in any particular order of likelihood to be changed or anything. It's just a small list I made. And as a last note, if you think I could have included another place, please comment your suggestions. I might do a part 2 if there are enough of them. First place we're gonna take a look is the dummy house at the Tupple Market. This place, at first sight, is as ordinary as any other building in the map. In fact, it has been in the game since its release, before Tupple Market even existed, when it was just this house surrounded by a crops farm in front of Tuppletown. This house is very small, and aside from some furniture props, it only has an NPC called Dummy, whose only dialogue for almost 4 years was simply, "What up?" Nobody really knew the reason for this NPC to be here, or if his dialogue had any meaning at all, but since NPCs with short and seemingly irrelevant dialogues aren't uncommon in the frontier, players never thought much about it and kinda just forgot about his existence. Even when the Tupple Market was built during the Rat Boy's Nightmare update, Dummy's house stood there still with no changes at all, not even to his dialogue. However, during the Easter event of 2021, this irrelevant and forgotten place became the center of attention for theories and discussions about the Sky Islands. Since the release of the Spring update, the only change to the game that was not a bug fix or a balance change was the Ratboy statue changing its position in late 2020. But when the recurring Easter event casually started that year, nobody expected that the devs would hide a secret message in a random NPC that nobody cared about before. Nobody but a now deleted Discord user that casually decided to check the dummy and was surprised by the dialogue changes. After first reporting the secret change, they weren't believed, due to the happening right by April Fools. But after others checked it themselves, it was found out that the dummy did in fact have a list of new dialogues referring to shapes seen far beyond the clouds while gazing into the sky. To put into perspective how huge this was back in the day, that was before the famous Sky Island reveal teaser. So, although there was already a highly regarded theory, we didn't have any confirmation of the Sky Island's existence. That was until these dialogues were added, confirming the most famous theory about the update. Even though 5 years passed and the Easter and Halloween events happened lots of times, this remains as the only instance of an NPC dialogue changing as an Easter egg to reference the upcoming update. I have asked Spectre about it in the past, and he expressed that it wasn't in their plans to add more of those secret dialogues, but it could perhaps happen again in the future. All context given, I chose to put the Dummy's house on this list since he is the only NPC that references the Sky Islands currently, so I'm very curious to see if he has an important role in the upcoming update, or if he would just stay as a casual NPC that might know a bit too much about what's happening around the frontier. Either way, I think it will be worth checking out. For the next entry, I chose the Farm Fortress Digins Site. This spot is quite obscure, as I barely ever saw anyone mentioning it. I wouldn't be surprised if most of you didn't even know about this place, since it's in a not much visited spot of the map, at the northwestern edge of the Farm Fortress. Here you can find a small hole, with a farmer and a shovel next to it. When interacting with the farmer, he says, "Hey, I'm kind of digging here. Mind giving a man some privacy?" There's nothing suspicious about it either. Which is definitely suspicious if you ask me. Although this has been in the game since its release, no changes at all ever happened to the NPC or the hole. But I think it's very reasonable to presume that at some point this hole will become something, possibly an underground tunnel leading to a cave, especially now that underground exploration has been confirmed. I think this place is bound to become something more interesting than a small piece of lore on the frontier. Speaking about caves, for pretty much the same reason, our next entry are the caves around the map. There aren't many caves in Fantastic Frontier currently. There isn't even really a consensus on what is considered a cave or not. Some of those which could be regarded as caves are nothing but small tunnels or entrances with no deep extension. A good example is the Clamstack Cave, that although being named that by an NPC, is literally just a small tunnel under the ancient bridge with nothing but a high Clamstack spawn rate. With that said, for that matter, I will be considering pretty much any of these entrances or tunnels as caves, since my goal is showing places that can possibly have an extension with the upcoming underground exploration. And I genuinely believe that they all have potential to become larger exploration sites or entrances to underground areas. To name them, I thought about the tunnels between the pits and Great Pine Forest, this one cave at the Greenhorn Grove, which is one of the most notable in the game, although it contains pretty much nothing, the Clamstack Cave as I mentioned previously, the mining tunnels at Blackrock Mountain, the tunnels at Red Ant Cove, the mining sites near Tupletown, the Spider's Nest, which although I don't really see it being expanded, definitely counts as a cave, so I'm including it here. The Pit Depths, which are the closest thing we have to underground exploration in the current game. That includes the Magma area, where the Magma Brain is located. And lastly, if I were to really stretch the concept of a cave, I could include the Giant Toad Cove and some other small coves found near the beaches. We didn't get many teasers showing underground exploration yet. The most notable ones are the Spectra Tutor banner, showing the entrance to a cave, and that one image from the last progress post. None of them resemble any particular spot in the current map, aside from this one maybe looking a bit like Matumado, but I think this is just in the new Sky Island honestly. Despite this, I think that in a similar fashion to how Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was teased with focus on the Sky Islands hiding the huge underground area in that game, the same could be going on for Fantastic Frontier, making it feel like caves will be in the game, but won't be that big of a deal. When in reality, I wouldn't be surprised if they did something similar to Tears of the Kingdom and made like an underground area fitting the entire size of the main map. Don't expect that though, it's just a random theory. But be aware that those few caves we have currently in the map can in fact be expanded in the future. On a similar fashion to putting caves around the map as a single spot instead of multiple ones, I decided to include the different doors around the map as an entry. Have you ever noticed how many doors around the frontier cannot be opened at all, despite them clearly leading somewhere? Honestly, it would make the game map much more alive if each of these doors actually led you to where it's at, instead of just being there for the ambience. I mean, if you can enter the dummy house and interact with an NPC there, why can't you enter any of the other houses at the Temple Market? I wouldn't mind if the interiors were just copy-pastes of each other. Tons of games do that. But in my opinion, the map would feel much more alive if there wasn't so many doors that can't be opened. It feels like something is missing. And honestly, considering how much closed doors are in the current game, they have a great potential to become something that could have an use, or just be a casual home of a frontier inhabitant. With that in mind, I can see at least some of these closed doors actually leading somewhere after the update. It would be really great in my opinion. Last but not least, I'll talk about the place which is probably the first one that came to your mind when seeing this video's title. That is the mysterious store at the town of Right and Rock. As I mentioned before, it's common for doors around towns to not lead anywhere. And taking a first look into those random doors next to the fountain, they feel like just more useless doors that you cannot enter. But for some reason, they actually do lead you somewhere. And even more interesting, it's a completely useless place, which is hard to see in this game. There are barely any other instances of doors leading to places that have nothing but props and NPC dialogues in this game, but this one is particularly mysterious. This place has been in the game since its release. There you can find some mannequins, furniture, and interesting objects like a comb, a wig, and some bottles containing different colored liquids, as well as an NPC who tells you the shops aren't open up yet. There has been a lot of speculation over the years as to what the shop is going to become in the future. Most people say it will probably turn into a clothing store due to the mannequins, but some of the elements I mentioned previously resemble the barber shop at Tupletown. So it's possible that this was intended to be both at the same time, and work as a place parallel to both the clothing store and barber shop in Tupletown, possibly selling different clothing pieces and having more character customization options. But the devs didn't want to add it in the first release and instead turned it into a shop that's yet to be open, maybe because they weren't sure what exactly would be in that shop. But as we've seen, the shop never really got a change in any of the updates we got in the past. It has been in the same form since the game was released. The NPC in front of the store even mentions that they wish the stores would open up, But to this day, what this place is bound to become is still a mystery. Back when Pick of the Week started, the second picture depicted a room that showed some resemblance to this place. So a lot of people thought it could be the same room, also noticing that the same glass with the colored liquid appears in that picture. I personally regard this theory as a possibility, but I think it could still be a completely different place in the Pick of the Week. Still, to me, it's undoubtable that the Right and Wrong shop is bound to become something in this update. With all the time that has passed and all the new stuff coming to the game, I really don't think they would let this place stay as it is right now. And so, that is definitely going to be one of the first places I'll check out when the update arrives. And that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. We're all eager for the update's arrival, but since the devs have been quite silent during the last few months, it's hard to have a precise idea if the update is still coming this year. But I keep my hopes high that they're doing their best to deliver it as soon as possible and with the best quality. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and see ya!